Our first speaker is Dr. Sara Place. She is an associate professor of feedlot systems at AgNext, Colorado State University, where she focuses on sustainable livestock systems. She previously served as CSO with Elanco Animal Health and as Senior Director for Sustainable Beef Production at the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. She holds a PhD in animal biology from UC Davis and a BSc from Cornell. So the floor is yours, Sara. Please help me welcome Sara.
Thanks so much. So I don't have slides, but I'll try to be quite brief because I think already the images that were on the screen are a great overview of kind of what we'll talk about today. So yes, my name is Sara Place. I'm at Colorado State University with AgNext. And so we've been around just for a couple of years. We're a research collaborative that's focused on sustainability in a broad sense. So more than just methane, but that's kind of what I focus on, and primarily with beef cattle at our facility. So we have a facility where we can measure up to 300 individual animals at once in terms of methane emissions, feed intake, and body weight gain, and hopefully in the next few months adding another 100 head capacity to that system, and then a couple...
Okay, I've added that to the list.
Thank you, Siri. Appreciate it. I'm actually interested how she's going to add that to the list. That's funny. Anyways, so sorry, I think I touched your phone, Karen, but anyways. So that facility is helpful for us to answer some of these questions, and I think Karen hit the nail on the head. There's no real right way to answer these questions, right? We just had to choose the right system for what research question we're actually asking. And I think it's important in this space of what we heard earlier this morning. There's a variety of questions, and what the right tool is may be different for which one of those questions are, right? So from a standpoint of, say, genetics, and if we're really just interested about relative ranking cohorts of animals, we may have a different answer as compared to when we want to quantify a significant, an actual reduction in terms of mass per unit time of emissions from an animal, right? And then just briefly, what we've primarily done in terms of just a quick overview of research, we've been working on some of the basic stuff in terms of trying to publish this in the last few years on green feeds, of thinking about how many of these spot samples do we need from a green feed, right? So if you're familiar how they work, basically it is kind of an open-sided head box, but basically what we're doing is we're grabbing a spot sample of emissions rather than, say, a chamber or whole animal chamber or head box, where we're hopefully achieving a steady state and we're kind of continuously sampling or grabbing an accumulation and then measuring. And so that's really important, because if we think about how these animals emit methane, right, they're not emitting it at just some sort of constant level, right? They're basically respiring methane, and then they're also having these eructation events. And so that that complexity really changes how we say what is best fit for purpose in terms of our research question. So yeah, I think that's the key thing there, and I think the main thing for us is just like when we think about that space, for us, we feel comfortable in our facility. We have it set up where the animals have continuous access. That's another consideration, thinking about green feeds. You may have a situation where you only have one green feed, you have multiple diets that you need to test. Maybe you have to start moving the device around, so then your experimental design and how you best use that may be very different than, say, what we're doing, where we just have continuous access to that device, right? In our setup, we feel good if we hit about 55 spot samples in confinement, we can get a pretty good methane estimate. And in grazing, depends on the length of the visit, but somewhere between that 45 to 65, 70 visits is where we need to be at. So that's another consideration. How long does it take you to do that? Depends on how frequently the animals visit, which is all voluntary with the green feed. So that's also another wrinkle from that standpoint, is some of our measurement systems are more voluntary versus keeping the animal there. So just a kind of high-level overview, and then hopefully we can get some good questions from the floor and kind of expand on that. So thank you.